Hey everybody, this is Pastor Michael at Ascension Lutheran Church in Torrance, California. It's time for another midweek boost. Yesterday, my wife Kimberly and I were talking about the book of Esther. Now I want to just give you a little background on the book of Esther. It's about a woman, of course, named Esther, who was very beautiful, and because of her beauty, she was selected to be the queen of Persia. Now, Esther was raised by her uncle, a man by the name of Mordecai, because her parents had died. And Mordecai treated her like she was his own daughter. Well, even after she became queen, she kept a very close relationship with Mordecai and trusted him. They came to find that there was a plot to kill all of the Hebrews, of which Esther and Mordecai were Hebrews. She thought that the way that it should be handled is that she should talk to the king and let him know that there was this plot against all the people of God, against the Hebrews. But there was a law in place that kept anyone from approaching the king unless they were summoned. Well, talking to Mordecai helped give Esther the confidence that she needed to go ahead and talk to the king anyway, by saying to her that this perhaps was the reason that she was put into the kingdom in the first place. Maybe this is why she was chosen for this position, for this very moment. And so Esther bravely went to speak to the king, and he listened to her. And the plot was thwarted, and the Hebrews were saved. All of God's people were saved. Now, something that's very ironic about the book of Esther is that God is never overtly mentioned, but his handiwork is all over the book. You see him constantly working behind the scenes, making sure that his people are protected. After all, his people were to bring about the Messiah, ultimately so that we could all be made children of God. Well, God continues to work behind the scenes, making sure that everything that happens in our lives works out to our ultimate good. That's his promise. And we know that God has a purpose and a plan for us, as it says in Jeremiah, a purpose to prosper us and not to harm us. That's the way God is with his people. He loves us. And though evil may happen, God works everything out for our ultimate good, for everyone who loves him and is called to his purpose. You are God's child as you trust in Jesus Christ and in his death and resurrection for you. And you need to know that even though we cannot see God, he's always there behind the scenes, working everything out for our ultimate good. And yeah, that may mean some bad things happen to us. God doesn't promise that we're not going to go through tribulation. And we know that ultimately in this body we will die. But God has assured us of eternal life and the resurrection life in the world to come. So trust him. Trust that even though you can't see him, that he's behind the scenes, working everything out for our good. Have a great night, everybody.